Today on the Topping Show, documents show that Barack Obama manufactured the Russia hoax in order to hurt Donald Trump. Nike ads get based as they switch from obese black women to a father and his child. Andrew Tate posts an infographic about a list of other countries and the penalties they have for illegals. Zohran Mamdani questions why we even need jails at all. Porsche Cayenne EV will, for some reason, make V8 noises. And a Tractor Supply, well, they have to recall their loading wraps because they might, break. All of that and much more on The Topping Show. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Today's episode of The Topping Show is proudly sponsored by Topping Technologies. Topping Technologies is an IT value-added reseller and services company with a special proficiency in IT security. Heck, I see the founder at least twice a day. Guy says he's quite handsome and brilliant. Easy me, see, that's the joke. If you're an IT leader or a business owner, reach out to the team at sales@toppingtechnologies.com. Also, still giving away a free flamethrower with every IT purchase with Picatinny rail adapter, so you can mount it to any standard AR-15 like all awesome accessories can be. Go to toppingtechnologies.com and click the flamethrower button to learn more and see me shooting a flamethrower. And lastly, trying to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, so if you can click that button and tell your friends, I would greatly appreciate it. Going over to the business part podcast, the Porsche Cayenne EV will make V8 noises from their speakers. So you wish you had one instead of an EV. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Motor1.com. Here you can see the upcoming EV Porsche SUV. This is credited to Brian over at, again, Motor1.com. And they say, quote, the electric Porsche Cayenne will have fake V8 noises. Let's hope the company smarts up and includes a fake gearbox too. Which, geez Louise, that just looks depressing as all hell. A Porsche EV SUV. A soulless monstrosity. Now, they say, quote, Porsche is not the type of manufacturer to rely on the past to develop future cars. The 911 might look like it did 62 years ago, but the company is typically forward-facing when it comes to the tech. That's why we're surprised here that the upcoming Cayenne EV will use fake V8 noises. Published publication Autocar confirmed that the inclusion of these sounds pumped through the speakers said to be a, quote, a genuine Porsche V8 engine, unquote, during a ride-along in the car at the Goodwood Festival of Speed is a shift of ideals from Porsche's current EVs, the Taycan and Macan, which both use their own specially developed sounds, neither of which reminds us of the internal combustion engine. Ugh. See more pictures of that monstrosity. Notably absent from Autocar's recollection of the ride-along were any mentions of the synthesized transmission, as you might find in the Hyundai Ioniq 6N or the Kia EV6 GT, which means while a V8 noise blared through the speakers, it's likely not to have fake gears to make it sound natural. If we had to guess, the Cayenne likely sounds similar to the Dodge Charger Daytona, with usually, oh geez Louise, I almost threw up in my mouth, which uses a synthesized V8 growl that revs up as you accelerate, as if it only had one gear. In practice, it's not pleasant, and that's just an assumption, and things can change before the car enters production in 2026. Though it's not likely to, Porsche development driver Lars Kern confirmed to Australian media in 2024 that Porsche would not pursue the development of fake gear shifts in the company's EVs, saying, quote, the electrical engine is better than... Ugh, how dare you say this? He says the electrical... I can barely speak. This is so viscerally disgusting. This is a Porsche employee who presumably is a auto enthusiast, and he says, quote, the electric engine is better than the ICE engine, so we figured there's no reason to simulate what has been in the past, unquote. Ugh. The last part has us questioning whether Porsche is starting to change its mind and how it approaches EVs. If the internal combustion engine noises are on the table, then synthesized gearboxes could be as well. That's the only way I see the upcoming... They're saying, quote, that's the only way I see the upcoming electric 718 succeeding. Let's hope the company has a change of heart. Personally, I'd love to hear the wail of a Carrera GT behind the wheel of the new 718, which that's probably the best... No, it is by far, hands down, the best Porsche ever made was Carrera GT. One of the few times in history where a concept car had less horsepower than a production car. Formula One engineered V10 with a 6-speed manual transmission. Oh, the Porsche Carrera GT is iconic, and, well, unfortunately, it's quite expensive. It's over $1 million now for one of those things. So, getting harder and harder to find one, and yet alone procure one. Now, this article just makes me think, if someday I was blessed to have a family, and maybe I needed an SUV in my life, you know what I would get? I would get Porsche Cayenne. However, it would be the one that was manufactured around 2008 to 2009, which did have a V8 and an option for a 6-speed manual transmission. Now, unfortunately, I believe they only imported about 242 of those, or sorry, 292 of those, and they usually still go for about 50, 60 grand, even with 100,000 miles. So they're still quite a pretty penny, but that to me is what Porsche should be. Enthusiast vehicle. I know a lot of soccer moms buying these SUVs just to go to school and pick up Cheerios from Costco. But again, this just all this article did was remind me of how disappointing that vehicle will be and how great their SUV used to be. Again, I know I'm in the minority wanting a stick shift these days. I know. But to me, it'd just be so much cooler to have V8. And again, some of this is political because you have governments cracking down on emissions across, many countries. I understand this isn't purely because they think customers want this. It's also because they're being forced to make it. But all this did was remind me that Porsche used to be great and have an awesome SUV with a stick shift and a V8. And then in 2016 era, they did have an SUV with a stick shift, but it was only with a V6, which is a fun, tracky-oriented vehicle. And it's awesome that they made it, but to me, there's something awesome about a V8 SUV Porsche with a stick shift. So we'll see how many of these they realistically sell. As again, most companies are losing money on EVs left and right. I believe Ford's projected to lose another $5 billion on EVs in 2025. So we'll see how Volkswagen does. But yeah, trying to make an EV SUV that also just makes it sound like something you wish you had but you don't have. I can't help but think maybe this will be in the business blunder section of the podcast in the future, but we'll see. Let me know. If you had to buy an SUV, would you pick an EV Porsche? I can't help but think, hell no, but that's just my 3 cents. Used to be 2 cents, but hyperinflation, gotta be the 3 cents. But as always, let me know your thoughts and comments because that'd be fascinating to hear what you have to say. Going over to the Cultural Report podcast, you have Nike ads going base as they switch from fat African-American women to fatherhood. This is brought to us thanks to NWokeness on X. And he says, quote, Nike in 2021 versus Nike in 2025. And here you can see, I should put a visual disclaimer. There's someone on the screen who is debatably more viscerally disgusting and visually disgusting than myself, which is saying something. It is a very large African-American woman with, I don't know what kind of, I don't know the Nike apparel names for their products, but it's tight Nike clothing that stretches. No, thankfully at the very bottom is, I think that's her in real life standing in front of the presumably Mount Rushmore sized building for her billboard. And then she's actually wearing like a jacket they would wear in winter. Unfortunately, she's having leggings or something on, so it's still on the bottom of the picture. But yeah, it's a very large African-American woman, which again, that's I have the different demographics. That's not the issue here. To me, the issue is, she's not quite as big as Chris Farley, but she's a very big woman. And no, there's no such thing as big boned as a myth. And yeah, it says own the floor, which ironically, she looks like she would also break the floor as well. So, in this case, this would be owning a very robust, very sturdy floor. That's a good thing. You always want to make sure you invest properly when it comes to, the floors of where you're living and where you're standing. Presumably hers is reinforced with rebar, a couple of maybe concrete as well. But yeah, that's what it used to be. Own the floor, they say. And again, Nike, for those who don't know, is a fitness company where you're supposed to be, getting in shape, working out, presumably not being morbidly obese. And now you have the new one. Now, the new picture is a father holding a golf club with his son crawling towards it. And the caption is, "You've already won," which the youth might say is based as hell. Because again, culturally speaking, one side of political aisle has become a political issue as well. Well, one side of the aisle sterilizes and kills children, while the other one, they want to have children. And this is an excellent ad. You have the father holding the golf club, and the kid is crawling on the green of the golf field. I know sports balls sometimes, but kid is crawling towards the golf club, trying to pick it up, and dad's holding it. Dad, of course, has Nike shoes on, presumably a Nike hat and other apparel if I were to squeeze my eyeballs and see specifically what type of Nike apparel he had. And the caption is just, "You already won," which again, that is enormously based. A big part of winning is, starting a family, having kids. It used to be the American dream before politicians left and right stole it from us by, taxing us all to hell, which I think is a contributing factor of why we have fewer and fewer kids in the United States. Well, I should clarify, American-born citizens in the United States. And presumably he also has a Nike little golf glove in his back pocket as well. I'm surprised they didn't add more logos to him. But nevertheless, the Nike logo on his, his sneakers are obviously very, very bold. And again, this awesome says, "You already won." Because again, he's a father. Fatherhood is, as youth might say, winning. As some youth become more and more based. And this pretty probably got 5.3 million views and 161,000 likes. And yeah, I think Nike's going to kind of shift their marketing strategy this year. And I think partially the fat pride myth that they kept pushing on us, well, it's a myth because as soon as the easy button came out with all these drugs, which again, I'm not a doctor, a lot of these drugs that'll allow you to lose weight, I don't know what the side effects are, But because everyone who has money is basically going after those drugs. So all the people who said fat pride is real. No, it's absolutely not. Now, go to the main comment section. One of the first ones comes to us thanks to Gunther Eagleman saying, quote, see the difference, getting 431 likes. We also have Tesla fans saying, quote, I do not understand how a sporting wear company brand was promoting being obese as a normal thing. Getting 6.4 thousand likes, which, again, that is one way to expand your market. And presumably, you want people to get in shape. So I understand in terms of why you want I understand how your audience might start large and get smaller over time, pun intended. But since it's where she wasn't actually working out or on a treadmill, to me, that would make more sense. Like showing her getting in shape and working hard, a really good effective ad, I think, would be to show the progression of someone losing weight and having like their whole Nike apparel, like a closet, kind of evolving with them. And something, I'm not a marketing executive, but shoot, just have something bold in the font that says like, Nike, we evolve with you. Like something to show like, as you get skinnier and get better in shape, you get more Nike apparel, which again, if it's good for that company, they sell more merch. But no, this is a gal just standing, own the floor, which because of insurance policies in the floor, she might have to legally own the floor because no one would be willing to take on the liability risk of her jumping on their floor and thereby breaking it and falling into the earth. That might be very well what they meant. But you also have Notorious Crypto saying, quote, got a feeling that future generations will look back on the early 2020s like a weird dystopian liberal fever dream, getting 8.5 thousand likes. Yep. Center Parody says, quote, never forget, never forgive, never Nike, getting 9.2 thousand likes. Martin Lucas says, quote, when you realize that catering to them doesn't stop them from robbing you or destroying all your stores, getting 4.2 thousand likes. Wonder if I don't think he was racial. I'm curious what people said. April simply said, nailed it, getting 29 likes. Is this really her? It says actual Jenny from the block. What block? She says, quote, are you going to stop catering to black kids that you, quote, treat at the children's hospital? What? Doesn't even correlate to the main post at all. Going back to the main comment section. You have Jack the Oklahoma says, quote, for a society that a majority white, barely but still hanging in there companies like this have some major effing dumbass syndrome when they make everything black. This caters towards minorities and trying to, quote, guilt trip white people. Shit has got to end. Getting 628 likes, which, there is population demographics in the United States, and there are also purchasing demographics of who is most likely to buy your products. Again, when it comes to apparel purchases, there is a big uptick for name brands in the African American community. There is for several years. But again, to me, it's like it wasn't a fitness ad. It was her just standing there. Now, you have Akershire Dreaming saying, quote, an ad promoting people who are unhealthy is just stupid, getting 205 likes. Yep. Washington's Ghost says we're making a comeback, getting 378, 79 likes. Sean Farish says, quote, the culture is shifting, getting 220 likes. Liz Marie says, best advertisement for shoes ever, and it's a picture of Muhammad Ali, and it says, nothing is impossible. Getting 846 likes, and apparently apparently that was a sponsored poster from Adidas, which kind of funny because they don't even show the shoe, but nevertheless. Florida One says, quote, perfect example of how woke companies change on a dime and will change back to woke when needed. Yep, getting 148 likes. I suspect that too. Going down more and more. No Clue Ninja says, quote, likely has something to do with this change, and shows that the Nike stock past couple years crashing about 24%, getting 1.5 thousand likes, which, that is also in part because of ever increasing competition, as well as, knockoff brands. There are a couple of variables of why the stock has been decreasing. But yeah, I think ineffective marketing campaigns can certainly be one of the bigger variables. MAGA fan 1776 says America is finally feeling it, getting 70 likes. Let's see, I'm trying to see if there's any contrarian statements here. Chris World says, it's because of our voices that shit started to change. Keep it up, everyone, getting 45 likes. Dr. Shuri says, quote, I will never purchase another Nike product. Don't care about their U-turn, getting 110 likes. Let's see. Uma Sassafras A says, quote, I'm seeing black people in 9 out of 10 ads in 2025, getting 175 likes, which, it's more like 19 out of 20. If I were to think of a percentage when I look at, the average advertisements in the United States. And again, it's the advertising theory that they could kill two birds with one stone, so to say. I mean, that is one of the biggest reasons of why they have mixed race families in commercials, is just because they try to capture every single market with one ad, because they think everyone who watches the ad will appeal to whatever race they see, which I don't really think is very effective, but that's one of the big variables of why so many companies have been pushing that same marketing technique for several years. So we'll see if anyone actually believes Nike, if they'll start to purchase their products again, and then do you think they're really actually, changing their actual beliefs, or are they just trying to cater towards a different growing audience? Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting cultural news, you have Andrew Tate tweeting about countries with penalties for illegal entry. That's brought to us thanks to his name, literally Cobra Tate on X. And he simply has a picture of, a very tall building, I'm going to guess in Dubai. Definitely not Chicago, because it's not on fire, broken into a million pieces. And the picture says, quote, penalties for illegal entry. Singapore, 6 months in prison. Russia, 2 years in a labor camp. 2 years in a labor camp. Niet Promoshka, that is terrible. And good Russian gibberish if you ever watch Archer. India has 8 years in prison. Pakistan has 10 years in prison. North Korea, death penalty, which is kind of ironic because I don't know anyone on the planet who would try to break into North Korea, but they have a very strict death penalty. That might be the most ironic one. Like, does anyone intentionally go there? I don't think so. Now, they also say, quote, middle of Europe, in contrast, free housing, free healthcare, free education, free food, free public transportation, cell phones, and cash, which, also for the United States, but yeah. And this went pretty viral. Got about 950,000 views and 30,000 likes. Jeez Louise. Now, one of the first posts is brought to us thanks to Ziliones, Ziliones? Can't pronounce things today. Now, he has a picture of the globe or map, and he circles India, the Middle East, and Africa. And he says, quote, please tell me why we have 3 billion people who live here that have the automatic right to move to a tiny Ireland population with 5 million to be fed, housed, and supported by the Irish people, getting 215 likes. And on the map, it says, call it what it is, ethnic genocide. Can't help but think. I wonder, what did Alex Jones's take beyond this? He'd probably say something akin of, the globalists are trying to destroy the world with mass deportations, all about the mass stuff. You have the mass migrations all across the globe, but no one's trying to break in. No one's trying to break in Mexico. No one's going to South Africa, which, yeah, it's kind of funny how no one ever tries to break, never seen mass migrations going that way. But nevertheless, you also have Moya saying, quote, Middle Europe will be defeated by Middle Europe. Mark my words, getting 43 likes. Or it has been. I mean, look at the UK. They've been invaded by people with antithesis religious and cultural beliefs. And in the UK, they are committing crimes at a higher statistical rate than the people who are naturally born there, and especially when it comes to abusing women and kids. And the UK is so weak, defeated, and pathetic, the citizens who post memes on social media about their abuse get harsher sentences than the bad guys breaking into the country and causing the abuse. That's how weak and pathetic the UK is. This is a defeated, useless place. I think what good comes from the UK. Aston Martins with stick shifts, obviously. What else have they contributed to society? Lotuses, though they're not making much anymore. Long, awkward pause. Yeah, what does the UK do for us? Not much, but you also have Orlean saying, quote, mate, you're an illegal in Romania. Never forget that. Getting 54 likes, a contrarian statement brewing to the surface. Alex Jungle says, you're an illegal immigrant to Romania, dude. Getting 27 likes. Fred Jones responded saying, quote, Andrew Tate with 3 million net worth, is an illegal immigrant. He definitely doesn't have a Romanian passport. You're retarded. Getting 5 likes. Going down more and more. F-Rad says, quote, because none of these countries colonize other countries for the selfish interest, getting 12 likes. Let's see, scrolling more and more. Mecha Grok Jr. says, so Europe is more humane, getting 25 likes. Pozonsky Mark says, Central Europeans definitely not giving stuff that is the illegals. He highlights Hungary, Czech Republic, Slovenia, and Poland, which, yeah, they're a couple of base countries, but they're surrounded by weak, pathetic European Union members. You got 19 likes for that. No Context Video says, quote, meanwhile in Poland,
Islam, I've been called Islamophobe. I don't have a phobia. I'm not afraid of them. Europe is a Christian continent by its faith and by its culture. That is why I'm going to fight for the Christian Europe until the final victory. So help me God.
Well, it was. Now it's, Islam. Got 57, I think 58 likes. I said, Ryan said, quote, it's the controlled demolition of Western white society, getting 45 likes. Jeez, any more contrarian statements? What the heck? Arish Hasham Al-Shob says, quote, why would anyone want to legally enter India? Getting 166 likes. 16 comments too? One based dude says, I honestly don't know what they have to offer, getting 9 likes. Basecoin Hunter says there are 20 million illegal immigrants in India. Really? Myronk says apparently 20 million of your illegal Pakistani and Bangladesh cock-licking Muslim brothers do. Getting 29 likes. Of all the countries to break into, I would not have called India. I would not guess that. But yeah, US seems to be the only country that not only doesn't have harsh penalties, actually give you a lot of free stuff. I mean, shoot. Look at New York City was giving them free housing vouchers that are worth like $750 to a couple $1,000 per night to stay at those fancy hotels, in addition to free food, free cell phones, and more, free healthcare. And California spent how many billions of dollars on illegals for healthcare, while we have American citizens who can't afford it and some don't have it? That's ridiculous. So, rare but based posts from Andrew Tate. Let me know, do you think there will ever actually be harsh penalties in the United States for people breaking into our country? I mean, our founding fathers would certainly say so, I would think. But let me know your thoughts and comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the political part podcast of New York City mayoral candidate, winner of the DNC primary, Zohran Mamdani, asking, why do we need jails? Now, this brought to us thanks to End Wokeness. And, he just quotes Zohran, so we'll go ahead and we'll let him give us his 3 cents. Well, him, half a cent.
Thank you. Are prisons obsolete?
Whew, coming through with the quotes, coming through with the titles of the books. I have to read that, actually. I haven't read that as yet. But I think that, frankly, what purpose do they serve? Right? I think we have to ask ourselves that, which is that, I think a lot of people who defend the carceral state, they defend the idea of it and the way it makes them feel.
The dumbest guy on the planet. And yet, Democrats overwhelmingly voted for him, and he won the DNC primary in New York City, which Republicans are outnumbered 2-1, so may very well be the new leader of New York City, which is almost impressive in the fact that just when I thought New York City can't get any worse, if he gets elected, I assure you it shall. So he says, what purpose do they serve? Oh, very rudimentary. Anyone with a child would know this. The purpose of prison is to punish people. The second is to actually help to try to rehabilitate them. But the primary purpose is to punish them and discourage illegal behavior. So that bad guys see, hey, if you do bad things, you're going to go to jail. That's probably why most leftist cities are shitholes, because, they actually don't prosecute crime and there's no negative consequences. They just, let them roam the streets of San Francisco. But in a actual society with rules and law and order, the bad guys see, oh yeah, if I break the law, I go to jail. I'm punished. I have to sit in a box all day and lift weights and convert to Islam. Kidding on the last part, although a lot of them are converting. But yeah, he says, what purpose do they serve? And he's getting millions of dollars in campaign funds, and people are just donating to him more and more. And this was pretty valid. Got 2.2 million views and 15,000 likes. One of the first comments coming to us thanks to, this isn't the #1 comment by likes, but I'm a little biased to think he's handsome and brilliant. Me, the topping show, I say, quote, the new face of the Democrat Party getting 3 likes. America Pop Bear says, quote, what would the founding fathers say? Not only did we import millions of Muslims, but now we're electing them to office, getting 703 likes. Yep, the most ironic thing is the leftist liberal women who vote for these guys, when they say they're always under attack, it's like, you've never read a Sharia law. You don't know anything about the original religion of the guys you're voting, are you? Hilariously ironic. Now, Paul Zupa says, quote, Zohran Mamdani, which I might just keep butchering his name on purpose, is everything wrong with the Democrat Party? He'll bring them to a single-digit approval rating. 1,000 likes. Base Electrician says, quote, if you're too dumb to know the purpose of a prison, don't be surprised when you end up in one. Get 102, so I get 103 likes with a screenshot of him looking slightly stupider than usual. Though again, not much ground to stand on. you're going to have awkward screenshots of any video, some with more disproportionate number of frames than others. Stop making sense says, quote, Zohran is either extremely out of touch with reality or he is disgracefully disingenuous. You can't just abolish prisons and jail unless your goal is to destroy our country. I guess that's just the brand for him, though, getting 2.9 thousand likes. The Flag Guy says, quote, this guy's a terrorist disguised as communist, getting 3.4 thousand likes. You also have Dat Guy Phil says, okay, New Yorkers, do not vote for this man, getting 383 likes. Well, again, in the primary, they overwhelmingly did. Amelia Henderson says, quote, Barack Obama, Kamala Harris, Pete Buttigieg, and Zohran Mamdani are children of foreign-born radical academics from the 1960s and 70s. There's definitely a pattern, getting 880 likes. Yep. Justin Grage says, quote, I do sleep better at night knowing convicted murderers and R-words are incarcerated, actually, getting 623 likes. Yep. David Santa Clara says, quote, Trump could change the headlines immediately by deporting him, getting 645 likes, which a lot of them are referencing the specific Communist Act. I believe it was 1950, in which the U.S. government actually did deport people because they're evil communists. Sandra Lofts says, quote, and while we're talking about detention, it shows people in a room sleeping on bunk beds or lofts. It says, this is how our military sleeps. So I really don't care about illegals being overcrowded in detention centers. In 320 likes. The Vault has a picture of someone standing outside university in I forget what the kitchen towel is called. It says, Death to America! And someone kicks him off across the U.S. border. He says, wait, I want to stay. Getting 272 likes. Bakunga Dojo has a picture of Smokey the Bear, and it says, quote, only you can prevent the spread of Islam. Getting 80 likes. You also have Amelia Henderson saying that it's also the same formula, abolish prisons, flood the country with Islam, and how communism collapsed civilizations from within, being 119 likes. Kathleen says, what a joke, you want criminals to roam free, you effing idiot, and she tagged Zohran, getting 140 likes. Jeremiah Watson says, quote, what is wrong with this man? He's a threat to our safety and our country, getting 143 likes. And yet, he won the DMC primary. And I can't but think he's got a pretty good statistical shot. And he's saying these things because he knows people are going to vote for him because of it. It's funny, people think, maybe your average person who's kind of in the middle of the road American voter will see this, and hopefully they do, and then vote differently and, not vote for him, presumably. But yeah, I can't but think the more of this that spreads, the more leftists are going to vote for him. So, again, the election is many months away, but shoot, we'll be here before we know it. Do you think, what do you put his odds of winning right now? Of becoming the next mayor of New York City, or as some people call it, city. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Other interesting political news, you have documents showing that Barack Obama manufactured the Russia hoax in order to hurt Trump. Now, this is brought to us thanks to Sassafras84, and she says, quote, for years, I've heard the saying, the first arrest will shock the world. Well, if you really want to shock the world, arrest Barack Obama, followed by James Comey and Susan Rice. America needs justice. Show us that we aren't a banana republic, that no one is above the law. Here's a quick clip from Fox News, which somehow, statistically speaking, is still in business, which, I'm shocked because I think I only knew 3 people that watched it, and unfortunately, just with the thing of time, one of them had expired.
Fox News alert, we just got a peek inside Obama's black book, and it turns out Barack knew the Russia hoax was a hoax all along, but pushed it anyway to sabotage the Trump presidency. DNI Tulsi Gabbard declassifying pages and pages of documents, showing Obama's intel guys briefed him just weeks after the 2016 election that the Russians didn't actually sway the election. Quote, we assessed that Russian and criminal actors did not impact the recent U.S. election results. Criminal activity also failed to reach the scale and sophistication necessary to change election outcomes. But Obama just couldn't accept that. So he and his staff instructed intel agencies to cook up new reports to support Russia collusion. Quote, after the meetings, Clapper's executive assistant emailed intelligence community leaders, tasking them to create a new intelligence community assessment per the president's request that detailed the tools Moscow used and actions it took to influence the 2016 election. Tulsi Gabbard described what she found as a conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people. And she says the people involved should be prosecuted and has made a criminal referral to the Department of Justice. We knew Hillary created the dossier, and now we have proof that Barack was calling the shots, and the documents to prove it.
Though I guess I should clarify, he said something bad about Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton is a very beautiful and intelligent woman. Definitely has not had a statistically improbable number of people around her who committed suicide, 28 people plus. And I don't own any rope and plan to live a long, healthy life. Just coincidentally, I want to throw that out there. Now, this one pretty valid got 1.1 million views as well as 53,000 likes, which, again, I don't think anyone is too surprised these days. Yesterday's conspiracy theory is today's reality. Now, one of the first comments comes to us thanks to someone by the name of Something Just Ain't Right. Says, quote, "Here's the thing. Yes, Obama is a treasonous scum and needs to be held accountable, arrested in prison, but no one talks about how this looks on the world stage. That shining city on the hill ain't so shining, and I blame Obama and the deep state, but the U.S. will lose luster because of these arrests." And 363 likes, which I don't really give a damn what the world thinks in terms of us actually. I mean, the world was going to laugh at us more if we allow traitors and treasonous people to continue with those acts. And we have documents now that showing for sure this happened. I think the world's going to laugh at us and go, look what the U.S. populace allows the government to get away with. Now, Sassafras did respond to him saying, quote, "It needs to be done," getting 208 likes. So she did not ratio him. Jane says, quote, "No matter how much I agree, it's just not going to happen. Makes me sad." Getting 93 likes. And she says, "I hope it does," getting 82 likes. Ken Arts says, "This is beyond yesterday in what should have been done already. They need to be held accountable, but they never will." That's getting 3 likes. M. Jones has a picture of Donald Trump, says, quote, "If you can arrest a former president named Trump, you can arrest a former president named Obama." Getting 126, 128 likes, which, again, what they went after Trump for was trumped up charges. Obama actually broke the law. You also have Roscoe Hopewell having an AI-generated picture of all the Democrats in orange uniforms, implying that they're going to go to jail, which, I think if they broke the law, yeah, they should, but I don't think they will, getting 79 likes. Salty KGB agent has a picture of Obama saying, quote, "Dishonored traitor," getting 61 likes. Amateur Gardner says, quote, "I was shocked and still wonder why Susan Rice was allowed to keep her job under the Trump administration as long as she did," getting 10 likes. Good question. Cyberpunk AD811 says, "First arrest will not shock the world. It will verify action and confirm future direction." There's WWG1. Sounds like a really crappy radio show number or something. And they have a screenshot that says, "First indictment unseal will trigger a mass population awakening. First arrest will be the very action to confirm future direction. They will fight, but you are ready." There's 78 likes. Clamon 007. Very interesting. James Bond is retired and bored on Twitter, maybe. Now he says, quote, "100%, I believe this could happen." You have a picture of Trump pointing at Barack Obama. It says, quote, "When I get done exposing what you did, you'll beg me to send you back to Kenya." Getting 54 likes. "You're going to be so exposed, going to boot you back to Kenya. By the way, where's that birth certificate? I never saw it. I don't think it really exists. You're crooked. You're going to get a jail cell right next to Hillary Clinton." Maybe he said that. Perhaps. Or maybe that was just the worst Trump impression you heard all year. But nevertheless, the attempt was made. We also have Nana Banana saying, quote, "They dropped this old information we've known for years to deflect from Trump's Epstein debacle. No one's getting arrested." Getting 23 likes, which, maybe. I mean, did they have this data when Trump was office the first time? Oh, geez. MAGA meme queen has the same picture of Trump pointing at Obama. It says, quote, "Be glad your wife prepared your rear for prison." Getting 3 likes in a reference to Big Mike. Diane Callahan says, quote, "This is a complete lie, and Tulsi Gabbard should resign for coming forward with this conspiracy. Rubio was the head of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and he confirmed that Russia meddled in 2016 election. It's unfathomable that Tulsi is her position is this administration to cover up Trump." Getting 27 likes. So we'll see if Aztec Patriot also says Trump has already shown us he's above the law. His millionaire friends are above the law. And this person claims Jan 6 is above the law. Cliche rudimentary argument, getting 22 likes. Which again, yeah, Jan 6. You mean when the police open the doors, allow people to walk in, and the woman death from January 6th is the police killing an unarmed woman? Oh yeah, I remember that. Travis Trebillion says some BS distraction from Trump being in the files, getting 32 likes as well. And a lot more people having the same meme of saying if you can arrest Trump, you can arrest Obama. I mean, it's always, I was going to say, I mean, that norm has been broken. Now, the real question is, I mean, Republicans say a lot of things, but Democrats seem to be the only one that actually use power once they wield it. Republicans historically don't. So I'm a little pessimistic, but let me know. Do you think anyone will actually have it even a single day in court? Let me know your thoughts, because as always, be fascinated to hear what you have to say. Going over to the business blunder of the day, you have Tractor Supply recalling their loading ramps because, whoops, they might just break. Now, this brought us thanks to the United States Consumer Product Safety Commission, perhaps the only useful government website, granted, pretty low bar, in which they say, quote, Tractor Supply recalls Traveler aluminum loading ramps due to a fall hazard. Here you can see the cliche loading ramps. Now, these are the loading ramps rated for, well, they were rated for 3,000 pounds. Spoiler alert, they weren't. They're actually that sturdy, and they're about 12 feet long. There you go. I believe it comes in black paint job or traditional aluminum, or if you're a foreigner, aluminium. I think that's what the Brits call it, aluminium. It sounds fancier. I'll give them that. Now, they say that, quote, the recall involves the Traveler's 3,000-pound 12 by 19 aluminum sheet arch ramp and Traveler 1,800-pound 77 straight ramp and the Traveler 1,500-pound 12 by 84 aluminum sheet arched ramp. Ramps are used by customers to load equipment such as riding lawnmowers, ATVs, golf carts, and other vehicles to elevate surfaces on trailers or pickup beds. They say that consumers should immediately stop using the recalled ramps. Consumers will be asked to return the ramps to any Tractor Supply store or call the firm for instructions on how to send a photo of the product with the word recalled using permanent paint to customer solutions at tractorsupply.com for a full refund. And unfortunately, they did not get ahead of the recall because they have received 35 reports of the ramps bending or breaking, including 2 reports of the ramps breaking and causing knee and or other injuries. Now, these are also sold at Tractor Supply stores nationwide and online from their website from October 2024 to July 2025 for between $180 and $220. And I don't want to say of course, but for the fascinating coincidence, they were manufactured in China, as Trump would say, and recall number 25-387. And again, this is literally engineered so that you can load your heaviest and sometimes most expensive toys and tools onto trucks and other high elevated areas. I mean, geez Louise, we covered a Polaris recall, and that thing costs more than a Honda Civic SI. It's $25,000, $30,000, $40,000 for those things. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure it's high quality, it's not being recalled. I mean, people are putting real money and risking real health by putting those things onto these types of ramps to load them up. And Tractor Supply is, it's not like it's Walmart where it's like they happen to have these, but they don't really specialize it. I mean, Tractor Supply, as the name is appropriately named, it's all about supplying farmers with tractors and other farm implements. So that's something that is a key part of the things that you sell, and you didn't do some proper quality assurance. I say, Tractor Supply, you are certainly the business blunder of the day. Thank you, everyone, for taking the time to tune in today. Again, try to get to 6,000 subscribers by the end of the month, and click that button. I greatly appreciate it. Also, give me a thumbs up, thumbs down, and a comment. It's a great way to give me some additional feedback, letting me know how I can make the show better and better. Lastly, don't forget to take time to tell your family, tell your friends, tell your coworkers, heck, tell your enemies, tell anyone and everyone. Just stay safe, fight the good fight.